Hello, and welcome to TP's Music Talk Podcast. My name is Ryan Ford.
And I'm Nick Replinger.
And you can find us at our website, tpmusictalkpod.wordpress.com.
And you can also find us at anchor.fm/TP Music Talk Podcast and other major podcasting platforms by searching for TP's Music Talk Podcast.
You can find us on other social media as well, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and others by searching for TP Music Talk Podcast or for TP Music Talk Pod on Twitter. Just look for our logo.
And you can also email us at tpmusictalkpodcast@gmail.com.
We also have shared playlists on Apple Music and Spotify that you can check out by searching TP's Music Talk Podcast as well.
And don't forget to click the link in the description and leave us a voice message on Anchor. And feel free to leave us a message or a review anywhere you're listening. It really helps us out. And don't forget, donations are always appreciated. You can find a link to donate in the description of any of our episodes.
No part of our show can be reproduced without permission or written consent.
You've heard it a million times, but that's because it's worth it.
I engrave stuff.
Need something engraved?
I engrave stuff.
Need some gifts for holidays and birthdays that are actually cool and can be totally personalized to your liking?
I engrave stuff. Check out their social medias. I see an Instagram giveaway very often, and they're actually legit. Connect by going to iengravestuff.com.
Another thing they have is an engraving service. If you have a thermos or a bottle or a baseball glove or anything you can think of, all you have to do is get in touch with the awfully friendly people from iengravestuff.com, and one of their laser experts can get an estimate to you. It's super simple, and they work hard to make it easy to explore your engraving ideas.
And if you go to iengravestuff.com and you're shopping, be sure to type in TP10 in all caps in the promo code box at checkout. That'll get you 10% off. Check out iEngraveStuff today.
2-1.
Hey, everybody. We're back. It's been a while.
Yeah, well, sorry for the long hiatus, but we're finally just doing an impromptu episode here. We got Joe here today. Say hi.
Hello.
We figured today we would just kind of free talk it and, our episode for, we said goodbye to rock and roll, right? So now we're probably going to jump into hip hop, but we figured that we would have one more episode where we just do kind of an impromptu free talk and just tell you how we're doing, ask you how you're doing. It's been kind of a weird year.
Yeah, with COVID and everything, it kind of feel like we've kind of disappeared off of the face of the earth, and so we're just trying to jump back into this COVID-filled world where 1 minute you can go out and do things, and the next minute, no more than 10 people to a gathering or whatnot.
Yeah, or just like your immediate household. It seems like every state has kind of different rules set in place right now, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling that, man. I mean, we had so much plans going on at the beginning of the year. We're going to release that Blix 10 album, just do a bunch of shows, go buck wild the year. Yeah. And literally, like, the week before, I was trying to wrap up the mixes.
And also, we were planning on doing our album release concert.
Right.
Too, and
all of a sudden this all hit. And that the venue canceled on, well, it didn't cancel on us necessarily, just said that we had to do more of a remote live stream kind of performance.
Yeah, and I wouldn't really consider that our release album concert, but
because we didn't actually release the album yet, and so
I love that kind of online concert that you guys did, though, and it was really a bummer because it seemed like, you guys had so much in the pipeline of just what you were going to do this year and releases and everything, and this can be said of Transmitter as well. Like, we were pumping on all cylinders at the first of the year. We were having meetings about, future projects and all sorts of stuff, and it just seems like all that kind of went on the back burner for a minute. We had to figure out how to handle all this just like everybody else. And it's been a learning experience when it comes to the music world, I feel like, especially for you, Joe, and Blix 10, Nick, the band. You guys have had to try and figure out how to move forward when you can't really do live venues or live shows or anything.
Well,
No, go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, there are a few reasons why I didn't move forward with the Blix 10 album. I mean, one of which I was pretty burnt out because I was finishing up college, and I was just putting in a lot of stress with the songs, and I honestly wasn't really happy with where they were. But with everything going on, everyone was so focused on COVID that no one really seemed to care about music for a while. And
plus, it was just hard to get everybody together. I mean, work was super crazy with COVID because I work at Walgreens, which is a pharmacy, and it was just interesting because I had like 2 coworkers that got COVID, and so they were quarantined. And anybody who worked with them on those shifts, had to be quarantined too. So we were also very short-handed and all that stuff. And I was one of those that had to keep the store afloat, and we had other store managers and other Walgreens employees from other stores come and help us out because we were hit hard by COVID. It was kind of hard to keep things afloat, and so I was dealing with that with work, and then also trying to redo wedding plans with my then fiance. And we had no idea. We had set plans for a date, and we were like, COVID hit, or like all of our wedding plans went out the window. We had no idea what to do. We kind of had to just restart from scratch. And so I felt kind of overwhelmed with that, with wedding planning and, changing everything that we had wanted to do. It just changed because of COVID. And so I wasn't really in the most music minded, I guess, mindset back then.
Yeah, a lot of people feel the same way. I was listening to this interview with Dave Grohl, actually, and this was supposed to be like their 25-year anniversary of one of their albums or something like that.
Yeah.
Can't remember which album exactly, but they had all these things planned out. They already had tons of t-shirts made for their big worldwide tour they were going to do this year and going to release a record. And yeah, so even among the most prestigious of bands and artists just kind of threw a wrench in the system, and I think that a lot of people started doing more live stream stuff, quarantine videos. That's what I noticed, at least on a music level with artists. And with production in general, this year, all the new music that you hear coming out, at some point during the creation and recording and mixing process, it was just done at home.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very unique year for the music industry in general. And so, yeah, I don't know. And interestingly enough, though, I've gotten quite a few people going in through my studio, people whose schedules have opened up. And so they want to come in and record their music. Not the least of which is Private School Boys, who released their single Play Dead for Halloween.
That's one heck of a single from their EP.
It was so cool. And I sincerely hope that we didn't scare Jordan away when we did that interview with him, because I would love to have him back on this show and just get the backstory behind the making of that music video and what their future plans are. I've loved watching what they've done, and it's been really cool to, hear updates from Joe and John, because John helped shoot their music video. Joe recorded the music for them, and it was such a different vibe, and it was, had the Halloween spirit about it, and it was just.
Well, they also had really cool stories that were behind it, like the story behind their album artwork for it. You want to tell that story, Joe? Or?
You know what? I'm gonna let Jordan and those guys tell you about that, if that's all right. Yeah. Stay tuned for that. But I'll at least give my perspective on recording, at least with them. It was a very, very different song than the vibe that they had in their EP, because their EP, it was experimental. They were experimenting with lots of different genres. There was some indie in there, there was some hip hop elements in there, and some rock elements, of course. This one, though, was all out with just really creepy, heavy metal, and we messed around a lot with vocals because we layered tons of screams for the chorus, but then on top of that we added vocoder effects to really enhance the intensity of those vocals. But then just out of nowhere in the middle of the song, it goes into a very Tim Burton, haunted circus kind of vibe. It was really, really interesting, and it was a pleasure to work with them on that, because I really got to experiment with my limits as a recording and mixing engineer, and seeing what sounds that we could create, and also improving stuff like guitar tone and drum tones and stuff. And so, yeah, it was just so much fun. So I can't wait for that episode too, when Jordan comes in and really goes in and tells his perspective of everything, and with the music video as well. Because there's some really crazy stories behind this song.
I know, like when I first heard it, from you, I was like, what? That really happened? Like, my mind was blown. It was like, that sounds like something from like a movie or something.
Yeah, it has the coolest backstory to how that music video was made, and I hope that Jordan will come back on and talk about it. I would love that. To kind of go backwards here and talk a little bit more about like COVID and the music world and all that, with everything kind of being put on the back burner. I think we've got a lot to kind of congratulate each other on. I mean, at least for you and Joe, Nick, because here's the thing, like, despite everything that's happened, you guys have still been, there's still people coming to your studio, Joe. You've redone your studio, which we're recording in now, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Like, I've seen the transition from before and after. It's like, it's awesome, Joe.
I appreciate that.
Nick got married and has started his life with Nina, and we've still been able to work, which we're grateful for. And I guess at this time we also just wanted to give a shout out to all of our listeners and just say, we hope you're doing well. We hope that this hasn't impacted you too greatly, and that you're still able to live your lives, and that you're staying safe out there.
Yeah, lots of craziness going on. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but just in general this year, there's just kind of been this really dark kind of mood going on.
Yeah, just like the dark, like, oh, woe is 2020. No, like,
dude, there's an endless amount of memes. The 2020 memes. Right now, I'm just like, if I see one more 2020 meme, I'm gonna freaking shoot my phone.
Lose your mind, right?
Seriously. So.
Well, and I think, and I hope for this too, but I think everybody's thinking like, okay, 2021 is right around the corner. Everything's going to go back to normal. We'll reset, restart. And I think,
of course, there's always that meme about 2020 where, it's New Year's Eve and the clock is counting down from, the 10 seconds. And then it says your free subscription to 2020 has now been renewed. And I can't even do the actual, pay for 2020 now. They've done the free trial.
Yeah. And I just think like, I really sincerely hope that it, next year starts and it's just a better year all around. I mean, we have that vaccine coming out for COVID. I feel like, but part of me wonders, like, are things going to go back to normal right away?
It's probably going to take some time is what my bet is. I mean, Walgreens is preparing to receive that vaccine to distribute it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know when that'll be, but I know we've been hearing talks from that Walgreens will be preparing for that.
Yeah.
Particularly those who are, most vulnerable for COVID, like those who are older and living homes and things like that.
Right.
But I still think it's going to be, a gradual transition. I mean, because there's already talks of the vaccine, and yet still we're having high numbers of contracting the virus in numbers. Like on my phone, I get updates from the KSL News app, and they always give a daily text about, the numbers of COVID here in the state of Utah. And there's still thousands of people contracting, not dying, but just, being tested for COVID and testing positive, just thousands of people every day.
Yeah. And I work at the hospital, and they're kind of planning that similar rollout of the vaccine. And I don't know if I really want to get into the whole, patients that are in the hospital sick with COVID and all of that, but the numbers have continued to rise, and there will be a vaccine coming out. But I also wonder, like, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't comfortable with vaccines, and they see this vaccine that was kind of in a way rushed. It's still got to stage 3 testing, but the vaccine to some people has been very rushed, and I've heard that there's not been a lot of studies done on the effects that it will have on like children and teens. Mainly the studies that they've done have been on adults. So like, I think there's a lot of people out there that are hesitant to get it. And so it's like, even though they're rolling it out, is it going to be something that people will accept right away? Everybody has a different opinion on COVID and masks and everything like that in general. So it makes me wonder how many people will actually get the vaccine when it comes out.
I think that's entirely, just how you are as a person, and how much you believe the media and where you get your news sources, and how whether you take them with a grain of salt. Because for me personally, if I see anything like on social media, things like that, I always take it with a grain of salt. I never believe it hook, line, and sinker. If I see something big, I go and find other sources to see if that story really is true. But there are other people who they just see it or see someone post about it. That's obviously the truth, and they just take it and they don't really look into it. And so I think it really depends on whether people will widely be, rejecting it, or if they'll be embracing that depending on where they get their news source information, because there's all kinds of conflicting stories that you see everywhere.
Yeah.
And just along that, and I don't want to get into it too much, but it really irks me when people make COVID political. I mean, and that's on a citizenship level and a politician level. Should not make the virus political at all. It shouldn't affect how you're running the state. It shouldn't affect how, in order for your own political career and your decisions as a person, the way that you look at the vaccine or COVID should not be based on who you vote for or, the biases that you will see in the media. And so, I don't know, man. I think that's part of the toxicity that has been this year is the connection between COVID and politics. And so I'm just really tired of that.
It's very heavy between COVID and politics, because it's been a huge thing that affects people on an everyday personal level.
Yeah.
From the day to day.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, politics, the news outlets, and I think social media plays into it hugely. Like, I know that Joe Rogan talks about this on his podcast all the time. Like, just the fact that social media, you can find an opinion. Like if you have a specific opinion about something, you can look that up on social media or YouTube, and you'll find 100 or thousands of people that think the same way you do. And you can kind of get stuck in these ways of thinking rather than taking everything as a grain of salt, like you were saying, Nick, and maybe looking for different sources. And I mean, I personally think that's a better way to look at that kind of stuff than just kind of getting stuck in one stream of media and letting that affect all of your thinking and decisions. I think that in 2020, we all have to remember to keep an open mind about everything and take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but anyways, I feel like we're getting more onto COVID than we are in music right now. So I'm going to try and drive it a little bit more, but still a little bit along the lines. I still see that people do, even despite COVID being, it's affected everybody's lives on a personal level. I think people are still hopeful for the future. Like, I know there are bands that are still hoping to go out and tour next year. Like, I know Disturbed is planning on coming to Utah next month, actually on my birthday, which I'm really hoping to go to that concert. It should be an awesome one.
That's fantastic.
And so I just think it's cool that bands are still keeping hope that things will go back to normal, and they're still trying to put out music, because I also see lots of other artists where they do live sessions, and you can try and do an online virtual concert. Like, I know Hailstorm has done that. 3 Days Grace, they record live sessions and just post it on social media where you can watch, and those are really cool.
Yeah,
and I've seen Foo Fighters did something recently. I didn't quite see it, but I know they released something not too long ago.
Yeah, they released a single, and they also performed a live stream. I think it was on Stephen Colbert. So the more and more bands are actually getting really high, getting really intense with the live stream performance, and that's really smart. One thing I did want to point out is just how much I think that not many people have seen this, because usually these guys are invisible to the public eye, but the people that run the shows, the stage crews and the audio, AV engineers, all those guys, COVID hit. They're,
hardest.
They're out of work for months, and for a lot of states, a big source of income for that state are the live bands performing, and so. And obviously, there's the livelihood of those individuals that are working there. My bosses over back at BYU, my old bosses back in AV, back when I was an audio engineer there. Obviously, they're lucky to still be working there because they're on salary at BYU, but they know lots and lots of friends who've had it really hard during the COVID incident. So we're hoping that next year, 2021, live shows will get back going, and things will hopefully come close to something of normal, at least for the live industry.
And I think, there's still things we can be grateful for this year too. Still things that we can all congratulate each other on. And, like you were saying, there's so many bands that have kind of been able to evolve and still put out music, still keep a good following, and still have some income during this time. So, and that's something that I love about music, is I don't think you could ever really kill off music. It's been kind of a hard decade for music, I think, with, Spotify and those free listening platforms, and it's had to be a constantly evolving thing but I think that it will always be around, and people will always find a way to overcome obstacles like how this year has been, and still find a way to put out some good music. So
yeah, I mean, at least I really hope so, because as much as I love, you know, just laying in my bed and listening to music and just, you know, vibing with whatever I'm listening to, there's still nothing that compares to going to a concert live. I mean, the last concert I went to was Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, and Chevelle, which Joe also went to that concert too. And man, that was such a fun concert. And I wish more than I could have gone to some concerts, because there were supposed to be some really great bands coming to Utah this year. I know Nina and I really wanted to go see Jimmy Eat World. They were supposed to come in June. There were some other, I forget what other artists were coming, but just a bunch of really awesome bands that Nina and I were really hoping to go see live. But of course, COVID canceled all those. But I just really hope that when they talk about the new normal after COVID, that, you know, it really will be normal and not different, when we'll no longer have, because I've heard, you know, there's that people say everything will be changed, everything will be different. We won't go out in public, like movie theaters won't be a thing anymore, and we'll just stream it. You know, when a new movie comes out, we'll just stream it, whether on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever, rather than go and seeing in theaters.
yeah.
They're saying there's been talk where, you know, in the entertainment industry will change like that, where you just consume everything at home rather than going out to the theater, going seeing the concert live or whatnot. And I really hope it really doesn't come down to that.
In a way, I think I think it's cool that we, because of COVID and all that, we now have that option.
Yeah,
but
it is cool, but it's still not the same.
It's not the same, exactly. And I hope that it, you know, like you were saying, we do return to some form of normalcy where we can still go out and do that kind of stuff. And because, like you said, there's just nothing like, nothing like it. Going to a live show and the energy you feel and the crowd's reaction and you being a part of that, it's not something that can be synthesized, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like hopefully we do come back to some type of normalcy. I'm sure we will. I just don't think it's going to happen. You know, it may be another year or maybe even a few years, I would say, before everything is really back to a normal state. And, you know, which is kind of a bummer, but I think that as long as we continue to push forward and we still find stuff to look forward to and a reason to get up each morning and, yeah, just keep pushing.
Mm-hmm. And on a music level, you just have to learn to adapt, just adapt to the situation. And honestly, the music industry changes every decade. You know, the music industry is always evolving with the new technologies and what's hot and what's new, and even depending on what people are actually listening to. But we're entering into this sort of new phase of the music industry where now we're very much dependent on working from home and performing virtually. And so any bands or any artists or even engineers and producers out there have had to learn and are learning still how to adapt to this new sort of environment in the music industry, where now they have to be just sort of self-dependent and competent to work from home and to keep streaming and be consistent with that. Mm. And that's something that I want to do with Blix 10 and my own solo endeavors is doing live stream performances. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, and that's something I've been really wanting to do, to try to get Blix 10 back up and do those. Because I know we talked about it like at the beginning of COVID, but then everybody just got busy and...
Yeah. Blix 10 kind of fell off the radar, but I'm hoping that 2021 will be the year that we really come back and get back at it, you know?
Yeah, well, we can say the same thing with Transmitter. I mean, it's been such a busy past few months, and I think we're just now starting to kind of get back on top of things. And I think it's important during this time to just hold each other up and try and support, you know, the small businesses and the people that were kind of hit by this and had to take a breather, take a break. And yeah, I look forward to, hearing Blix 10's album when it comes out. I look forward to, seeing what you guys decide to do in the future with, maybe live shows or if you have to stream them, then, because I really actually enjoyed the live stream that you guys did. When was that? April or?
Yeah, sometime in April.
Like very early April because the whole COVID thing started in late March. So.
Yeah. So.
But if I could, I wanted to talk a little bit and sorry, this might be a little bit long-winded, but since we're going to get into hip-hop...
I'm sorry, I'm going to shut down right there. No hip-hop.
Okay, no hip-hop. Sorry, we're going to be talking about opera next season.
Baroque opera.
Baroque, excuse me. And no, we probably will talk about opera at some point. We don't hate opera, but no, we're thinking we're going to start on hip-hop next. And I guess... our first episode on hip hop, I'm picturing it's going to be kind of a background, maybe a little bit of history about it. But I figured I'd take this time when we're just kind of free talking things to tell you about how I feel about hip hop and why I personally want to talk about it. Because I think I'm probably the person here who's most into hip hop out of us three. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about my opinions on it. And maybe I can pull you and Joe into the hip hop world a little bit further. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm super down to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm not huge into hip hop. I know a little, but I definitely couldn't be like, oh, yeah, I'm a super connoisseur of hip hop, and I could tell you what's the finesse, of what's on top of, the hip hop genre and what's looked upon with your nose in the air or anything like that. But I definitely think it's a genre that definitely, it's taken the main stage above rock with pop music on there. And I'd say it's a lot more prominent unfortunately, than rock is today.
Yeah. Well, and so here's the thing about hip hop, in my opinion, and well, let me tell you a little bit how I grew up on hip hop. I'm basically like your average guy in Utah, I think. Like you maybe listen to Eminem one day and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. And so you get into Eminem and then you branch out from there. So like I grew up on Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, like some very common mainstream hip hop artists who definitely, maybe had a cool story of how they got into hip hop. And that's what kind of led me down the rabbit hole is, I mean, if you put yourself in my shoes in, early high school, I had never heard hip hop before. I grew up in a family that was mainly pop and rock, which I think is very common here in Utah. Pop, rock, country, kind of the three main genres that people grow up listening to here. And first time I heard a hip hop song, I think it was Crack a Bottle by Eminem, and it had Dr. Dre and 50 Cent in it. And I was like, okay, they're talking about girls and drugs, and like there's nothing appealing about this to me at all. I just don't get it. And it wasn't until a couple years after that I think Eminem's album Recovery came out, and he kind of got back on the scene and was very popular and famous at the time for like Love the Way You Lie and other singles that came out on that album, like Not Afraid. And that's when I kind of got into hip hop and started exploring it. And as I kind of went down the rabbit hole on YouTube, what kind of drew me in was when I looked back at like the late 80s, 90s, 2000s, when hip hop artists were kind of underground and doing like freestyle rapping and battle rapping. And that's something that I thought was so cool, because when you look at battle rapping, you have two people that are going head to head with nothing but their wits and their thoughts, and they're trying to kind of tear each other down and see who can say the wittiest, smartest thing to outsmart the other person. It's almost like a mental game of chess.
And that's something I always thought was cool about hip hop, and that people are able to, to sing and speak that rhythmically, and then, just have a battle against each other, and it's all on the fly, improv. That I could never do that in a million years. It's something I've always admired about it, and it just blows my mind that people are able to do something like that, especially, someone like Eminem, the wordsmith.
Right.
Who's able to bring in all these type of, different words and meanings and execute it. So I guess you could say poetically.
Yeah. And so that's what really drew me in, is I was thinking like, because when I was growing up in high school, I mean, I wasn't the most popular kid on the block. And I mean, not that I was like bullied or anything, but when I started getting into hip hop and you learn that these people came, a lot of these rappers and hip hop artists came from essentially nothing. And because they were quick-witted and able to outsmart the next guy, they were able to kind of get into the music world and become somebody and maybe be better off than they were before. So I guess like one of the reasons I love hip hop so much is it's kind of a tale of, and not that all hip hop is like this, but it's sometimes a tale of someone who came from nothing and was able to make something of their life just from music. Which, I mean, we talk about music on this show and we talk about how much we love it. And I think that's, it's probably no wonder when you think why I like hip hop so much. It's because it's people talking about music that made something of their lives. So, and then of course from there you go further down the rabbit hole. You maybe start looking at the greats like Tupac and Biggie, and then you branch out from there, maybe get into some underground artists. You start looking at different beats and flows But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is like that's kind of where I come from on hip hop. Like that's why I love it. I love the aspect that you're trying to better yourself through music and words, and I think and not all hip hop is like that these days. Like if you look at the whole mumble rap movement and all of that, it seems like there's a lot of different priorities there. It's not about coming from nothing so much as talking about how much you have, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to you describing sort of the path that a lot of people might take to, when they're exploring hip hop, and I think that's kind of reminiscent of where I started with rock, for instance. I think that everyone is their first exposure to a genre is like some of the most popular bands. So for instance, with rock, you might be first exposed to like Queen or
the Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatles.
Floyd, all those top greats.
Yeah. And then, you explore people that are like them. And then eventually you kind of get into more underground and very specific, genre specific bands. You find your niche. And so, yeah, I definitely can connect with you on that part where you just start with the mainstream, but then you just kind of branch out. You find the roots of that music that you like. And then you start like going into very unique and underground kinds of artists,
like
and
niches.
So yeah, for sure. My exposure to hip hop is definitely more when it's connected to rock. So for instance, obviously Linkin Park and other new metal bands such as Slipknot and Korn and those guys who are definitely more at the roots of new metal. You also got Limp Bizkit, and of course they get trashed a lot. I think that my favorite diss on Limp Bizkit was that one Deadpool scene when he's about to punch that guy and he's like, "I'm gonna do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music."
That's awesome.
It's really fun. It's funny because they talk about how they love like Rage Against the Machine, mm-hmm. and then the bassist of Rage Against the Machine came out and apologized to the world that they influenced such a crappy band. So when you're disowned by your parents, it's that burns. Yeah. But didn't want to go on that tangent too far. But yeah, even today, as I see newer bands come out with music, I definitely see a lot of hip hop elements being woven into the rock scene as well. And so I do think that hip hop has definitely made its stand and established its influence on, obviously their own territory, their own turf, but also on the turf of other genres. So it's really cool to see that happen. Unfortunately, there are certain mainstream artists and listeners that think rock is completely dead. There's that infamous tweet thread where Adam Levine said that rock is dead and that all the creativity is in hip hop, and he just got bashed by a lot of rock guys. But
really, Adam Levine said that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said if there was a rock party, I certainly wasn't invited to it or something. And then I forget which rock artist it was, but he was like, "Congratulations, everybody, on not inviting Adam Levine to the rock party," or something like that. And I think Corey Taylor said something like, "Just because you got the moves like Jagger doesn't mean you can rock like Mick Jagger."
Oh, boom. Of course, Corey Taylor's always got some of the most wittiest comebacks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I guess the reason I'm even talking about this is I just wanted to let our listeners know that when we do start talking about hip hop, although I don't know everything about hip hop myself, it will be coming from a place of love, and it will be coming from someone who grew up and probably wouldn't have made it through high school or wouldn't have made it through a few years of my life if I didn't have hip hop. And particularly the type of hip hop that can lift you up and give you the motivation to stand up and fight for yourself which is personally the type of hip hop and rap that I like the most.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to hear your guys' episodes on hip hop, and I'm excited to hear the comeback from Transmitter in general. Honestly, I can't wait to hear more episodes from you guys because I really enjoy this podcast, and I also really enjoy being on the podcast. Whenever you guys ask me, I always feel honored when you ask me to be on with you guys, and so I can't wait to hear your story, Ryan, and on your journey with hip hop, and Nick, I can't wait to hear your reaction to
because this will kind of be because I've never delved much into hip hop. I know like a few songs here or there, I think one of the first songs that comes to mind, like Ryan mentioned, was "Love the Way You Lie" with Eminem. Was it Rihanna? Who did that with? I think that was one of the first ones where I actually listened to it a couple times because I actually kind of liked it. But most of the time when I hear hip hop, it's it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it's not necessarily bad, because when I do listen to hip hop, especially things from Eminem, I think you have to be on a very high intellectual level to be able to think and come up with that kind of genre of music, because it's not something that you just write, just a few words and then just throw some music on top of it. It's very thought out. So I'm very looking forward to learning more and discovering that stuff. And I'm almost kind of I'm opening the box and giving a review, but instead of a toy or a product, it's going to be hip hop,
Well, and that's why I think it will be so fun is, I'll just kind of tell you what I know, and then you can react to what I have to share. And, I think that'll be great content for our listeners, and it'll maybe just show people that, or introduce people that haven't really delved into hip hop before, how fun and cool it can be, especially when we start talking about artists like Nas or Wu-Tang or Kanye or some of these very influential figures in hip hop. And maybe we can even have Jordan on to talk about Kanye, because I know
he said he was a huge Kanye West fan. That would be awesome to have him come on here and talk about it.
Yeah, so I don't know, I'm just excited for it, and hopefully our listeners are too. And but anyway, that's my spiel on hip hop, I guess. And I just wanted to kind of sprinkle that into this conversation as we get started on that. Mm-hmm. iEngraveStuff.com is a local engraving service based in Linden, Utah. If you want an amazing engraving done on one of your personal belongings, get in touch with one of their specialists today. You might meet McKay, who is one of the main brains of the operation. He's also one of our close friends and the drummer of Nick's band, Blix 10. Follow their Instagram page to stay in touch with the latest news for iEngrave Stuff. And be sure to type in TP10 in all caps in the promo code box when you're shopping online at their store.
I really enjoy their work. They make engraving look easy when it actually has quite a few factors that come into play. Many things can switch and cause a problem, but the pyros at iEngrave Stuff have it down to a science. They are continually improving their craft, which has been cool to see. If you want in on this action, look up iEngrave Stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and iEngraveStuff.com.
Yep, that's the letter I,
and then engrave,
and then stuff.
iEngraveStuff.com.
If we could, there is one particular song that I wanted to dissect with you
I was
guys.
thinking about that. Yeah, maybe we should delve into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, we the three of us, we come from the same generation. And I don't think that there's any song that can be recognized by the very first word of the song like this song. Somebody
once told me.
So, I think that the song should be really looked at and dissected, and I think we can have a lot of fun with it. We could talk about music, the musicality of it, and we could also talk about the lyrics. And I don't know, just the genius that is this particular song. I do have the lyrics pulled up here.
Yeah, I got it right here too.
So the first line, somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Obviously you can tell this guy, he comes from a rough background, or at least a background where he had some inner insecurity, you know?
Or maybe he had some kind of turmoil in his life, and so he doesn't have the highest, opinion of himself or something like that.
Yeah, and
But then, of course, he meets somebody, says she was looking kind of dumb with her finger and a thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead.
I think the message we can take from that is that, the haters, the people who are laughing at you, they kind of humiliate themselves in a way when they try to humiliate you like that. And so I think that's a moral that we can really internalize in our lives. Has that ever happened to you guys? Has anyone done the L sign to you guys?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, growing up,
my sisters used to, but
or even just as a joke,
Yeah. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Yeah.
That's a very interesting phrase right there. The years start coming and they don't stop coming. Like, time doesn't wait for you. You're kind of thrown into the mix, and it says you're fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Like all this stuff. It's almost like, like you're growing up and then like adulthood comes right at your face and it's not slowing down. I think it's kind of goes like, fed to the rules and hit the ground running. Like, to me, that kind of speaks like you're all of a sudden just hit with responsibility, the rules. And
if you don't hit the ground running, it's not going to end very well.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting way to put, start off that pre-chorus. But
yeah, I think so too. The next bit, didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb. Brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb.
I like the first line. Didn't make sense not to live for fun.
Yeah.
Like, I guess in life you get caught up with all the everyday things, running to and from.
That comes with the growing up. But,
exactly.
If you let it control your life, what's the point of living if you don't stop to take time for yourself?
Yeah, if you don't take time to breathe and have some fun and realize that this isn't about the rat race of life, you're not going to have much fun, and your brain will get smart, but your head gets dumb.
Yeah, I think that there's a spectrum, there's getting really smart and really specialized in something. But when you do that, when you really get smart, per se, as the lyrics say, you miss out on connecting with people, perhaps.
Like you may be intellectual, but that doesn't mean you're street smart. So.
Yeah, that term, too. Street smart, I'm sure that can really be applied to that as well.
And sorry, maybe we should. I'm almost positive everybody knows this song and what we're talking about. But this song is called "All Star" by Smash Mouth.
Yeah, if you don't, you've been living under a rock.
It's in
go
the
watch
movie
Shrek.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Like I've already given you a bunch.
But yeah, and sorry, we can continue from here. I just want to make sure people knew the song we were talking about. But yeah, if you don't know this song, you need to check it out. Enough said.
So we've gone through the first verse and the pre-chorus. Just quickly about the music. Obviously, it just starts out with that just a reggae-styled guitar. Now, I do want to point out, I think that there's some genius in the chords that they chose. Okay, the very first chord that you hear is a G chord, which obviously utilizes the G string on the guitar. Now, the second chord is the D chord. And so, I think that there's a certain hidden message there. You got a song where this dude is just kind of flipping off the losers and talking about how you have to live for fun, and the very first chords in the riff are the G chord and the D chord. So I think that was I can't say that was simply coincidental.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about this song and how iconic it was a really well-built song, is a well-built song. From the lyrics to the chords, the way the vocals are almost like sarcastic in a sense, in a certain way. And I don't know, like, I think there's a reason that this song has kind of stood the test of time, even though most people think of it and it's a song that they kind of laugh at, maybe, or
they just think of Shrek,
Yeah. It is kind of a carefree song, whatever stresses you got in life, you just kind of loosen up. Mm-hmm. And you guys probably notice as well that the music, just kind of amps up a bit as the song goes on. When he gets to the lyrics, the years start coming and they don't stop coming, that's when they bring in the drums, the percussion. Mm-hmm. And the singing becomes also a little bit more in your face as well. The next lyrics, so much to do, so much to see, so what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go, and you'll never shine if you don't glow. That's
kind of very interesting. I know. For me, when I hear that line, I think of, just how culture differs from place to place. And so like if you just all you go see is the main touristy stuff, you're just going to get, the surface of cultural places. Like if you go to New York, or you go to Munich, Germany, or go to Paris, France, or you go maybe somewhere like Mexico City, Mexico, anywhere in the world, you're going to see, the top, the cream of the culture, in those big places. But if you take the back streets, you'll see a part of culture that's not, I guess you could say, like plastered on ads and billboards and things like that, or that you see on TV. You see a kind of culture that's very different, and I think a lot more unique and a lot richer. At least that's what it makes me think of when it says, so why not take the back streets? Because you'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. I mean, like, you'll be enriched deeper, if you take those back streets.
When I love how he says, so what's wrong with taking the back streets? Like, because I feel like there's kind of a stigma when it comes to going in the back streets of town, when you're going in neighborhoods that not everybody knows. And, people think that like you're in a bad part of town maybe, or you're off the beaten track, whereas a lot of times in culture, it's not until you get on those back streets and you're actually seeing how the real people live that aren't just in the main city, that you really get a taste of what the life there is like. And I think he's kind of saying that about life. Like, if you don't take the back streets of life and really get to know, life other than just the mainstream sugar pop, all that stuff.
And I think he highlights, you'll never know if you don't go. There's kind of a tragedy in ignorance.
Yeah.
When you don't go, you just don't know what you're missing. It could be the next best thing in your life. What was that Family Guy episode where they show Peter K-pop?
Oh my god.
He sees K-pop and he's like, I have two questions. What is this, and how do I make my life all about it?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So you never know. You go to the back streets, you might find K-pop, and that'll be the next best thing.
Yeah.
You never shine if you don't glow. Yeah, you have to start somewhere. Yeah, if you want to shine, you can't just go from on and off like a switch. You have to crescendo up to from glowing to shining, I guess. That's at least how I interpret it.
Yeah.
And then the chorus goes into, hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play.
Yeah. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. I think that's cool because it's like, you can be what you want. Hey, you're an all-star? All right, get your game on and go.
Yeah.
Just go and do this. This is what you do, so go do it.
I think it's, kind of saying like, it doesn't matter what other people think of you, and it doesn't matter what you really think of yourself. If you don't get out there and try to make something of yourself, you're not gonna get there. The first step is actually trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of goes back to that last line of the pre-chorus, you'll never shine if you don't glow.
Mm-hmm.
And all that glitters is gold. I think that's kind of cool because, for instance, glitter. What's the value in glitter compared to gold?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's glitter is kind of seen as a nuisance. But, when you take value in the simple things like glitter, if to you glitter is valuable as gold, or if you apply it to your own life, if say a crappy acoustic is just as good to you as an $8,000 Les Paul, you can take real old joy in that, I think.
That reminds me of a story. I don't remember where I heard it or if I saw it or something like that, but I just remember this. I think it was a video. I can't remember exactly, but basically what the whole point of this, I'm pretty sure it was a video. It shows someone, they have this banged up, beat up violin, and when you look at it, you think it's just gonna, sound terrible and stuff like that. And like, there's this guy, he's playing it, and he doesn't sound very good, but he's trying his best. And then some other guy comes up to him, and it's this older gentleman, and he comes and grabs the violin, and he starts playing it. And it's like the most gorgeous, beautiful thing that you've ever heard in your life. And you just hear this old beat up violin being played by the hands of a master.
Yeah.
And just because it's an old beat up violin doesn't mean that it can't be the most beautiful thing, that's ever been played.
I love that you brought that up. Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter if you have the nicest, newest gear if, you don't put in the time and effort to become, to make something that's not necessarily as nice as like that $8,000 guitar, but if you take that instrument and after all the time that you spent with it, you can make something that's a masterpiece.
And I think it goes to show, like, you take this old beaten down violin, and do you think that the people on the street are noticing this beat up violin, or are they noticing the notes and the glitter that this master is making with it, the sound, the beautiful sounds that he makes with it? I think that's kind of why he says, all that glitters is gold, because in a certain sense, if you have the talent and you're putting in the effort and the work, people are going to notice that. They're not going to necessarily notice the quality of how you're getting it out there.
If it's valuable, then it's valuable.
Right.
If it's something to be desired, people don't really care how it's taken. Mm-hmm. They see that, and I think it just goes to show, taking it in what you were saying, Nick and Ryan, is that the value really is inside. It's not about the quality of what you have. It's how you use it. You can turn glitter into gold. Yeah, or like what is it in Aladdin, the diamond in the rough, or anyways. So same kind of concept.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some people might say that we're trying to make this song into
It's
gold right now. So
it is gold, right? It is gold.
Yes,
we always knew. We always knew.
Yeah, we know that we're basically reviewing the song, All Star by Smash Mouth. Yes, we know that we're doing this. We are being slightly sarcastic, but at the same time, this is a good song.
And
Prove
serious.
us wrong.
No.
Yeah, we're seriously realizing just how profound of a song this is. Only shooting stars break the mold. Yeah, I think that's a pretty straightforward line. You gotta...
Well, if you think about all the greats, like when it comes to music, what made them great? Think of Michael Jackson, for example. He was definitely a shooting star. I mean, like, he was a musical genius and was the first to do a lot of things, especially when it came to dance, too. He's more than just a singer. He's a dancer. And lots of, people who are big into dancing, they emulate and idolize Michael Jackson because he did a lot of things that were unique. Like, of course, one of the most biggest things that people think of is the moonwalk, when he did that live on stage. Like, I remember seeing this little video where they're talking about when they were doing the last practice before the actual show. Michael Jackson did not do the moonwalk during that. He just, in the middle of Billie Jean, when there's that breakdown in the middle of the song, he just decided to just do the moonwalk. And everybody was just like, whoa, what was that? And it changed dancing and things like that in the music industry and things like that. It's like he broke the mold, because like people were like, what is he doing? He's not going, according to how they had choreographed and scripted the whole performance. So he just changed it. He broke the mold, and that's now iconically one of the most famous dance moves of all time.
Yeah, here's a question. So what would you say is the difference between a star and a shooting star?
I think
in
it's
this
kind
analogy.
of like, to me, it makes me think of the saying, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Because I think in order to be like a shooting, because there are stars, and then there's shooting stars like Michael Jackson, and he broke the mold. He did things that other people wouldn't even, like, maybe they'd thought of it, but they thought, like, okay, that's just crazy. Like, I'm not going to try and, like the lean, where he had custom shoes built so that he could look like he was leaning.
Yeah, defying gravity and everything.
Right. Like, maybe someone at some point thought, like, oh yeah, maybe I could do something like that, but they didn't do it. They didn't actually try to attempt it and put in the effort and time to show people how cool that could be, and not just with dancing, but with music. And I mean, maybe that's part of it, like actually taking the leap and having the courage to try and be unique and do something that no one else has ever done.
Yeah. And I'll take a moment and tribute to Van Halen, because he just passed away this year. In my opinion, Van Halen was a shooting star. He wasn't just some rock star. He wasn't just a guy playing guitar on stage. The dude went up there and he redefined what it means to be a guitarist. He redefined how you can play the guitar. He redefined what tones you could get out of the guitar with his famous PV-5150 amplifier. And I mean, he didn't go up there with a super nice guitar. He built that guitar, it looked really junky.
Well, now it's an iconic guitar that is like thousands of dollars if you want one that looks like it.
Exactly. I mean, he was another Hendrix, because he went up there and he just blew everyone's minds. bands. Like, I don't think back in the 60s people really understood Hendrix. He'd go up there and he'd make all these crazy sounds playing the national anthem and these other solos and playing with his teeth. And they're just like, what the freak is this guy doing? I mean, whoa, what is he doing with that guitar? And today we just look back on him and he's a shooting star. He broke the mold.
Yeah, like yesterday was actually Jimi Hendrix's, was supposed to be, I think, like his 78th birthday or something yesterday. I saw a tribute to him.
Wow.
And yeah, they came out with this brand new guitar in honor of Jimi Hendrix. And on that little thing that I read on the internet about him, they still claim him as the greatest instrumentalist in rock history.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And it's not that, he's a better player than anyone else. Because he got millions of guys who can play what Jimi Hendrix played.
Yeah.
Got thousands of other famous artists after him playing his stuff, but there's only one Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, there'll never be another one like him.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, same could be said of Michael Jackson. There's lots of dancers out there today and performers that can dance and sing pretty much as good as he could. I mean, maybe not as good. He was pretty amazing. But, the point is, like, other people can do this stuff, but it was the fact that they were the first to do it and they had a certain personality about them and a certain passion behind it that just makes it more special, I guess.
Yeah, I completely agree. We probably want to move forward with the lyrics. If you guys want to keep going with this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm loving this.
Yeah, at this point, we have to.
It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now, but wait till you get older. That's a line that I'm still kind of pondering. You're bundled up now, but wait till you get older.
Well, that's something I still hear all the time today. Like, I'm 27. I feel like I've seen a thing or two, but people, who are older than me is like, oh, just wait until you get older. Things are going to change and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what am I going to experience, in the future that I still haven't experienced in 27 years of time, Yeah. It's just something I hear all the time. It's like, wait till you get older. I've heard that throughout my entire life. Well, when am I going to be older?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just a young man. You don't know what's coming for you. But honestly, I hear for instance, my parents say, I don't envy your place because stuff is happening that we never had to experience, and so we're just kind of in a position where we're just traversing new waters, just different waters than people really experience, and maybe that's what the next couple of lines say, but the meteor men beg to differ, judging by the hole in the satellite picture.
And the ice skate's getting pretty thin, the water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. It's like you're on thin ice right now, so...
Yeah, it could be said that you're on thin ice, but then again, the water's getting warm, so adapt and...
Go swim, yeah.
Go swim and flourish. You don't have to ice skate. Swim across the pond.
Yeah, to me, I just get this overall message of like, you need to, you can try your best to be prepared for what life is going to throw at you, but
you'll never be 100% prepared. So you might as well make the best of it.
Exactly. Like, you might as well just kind of go with the flow, roll with the punches, try to evolve, because if you get stuck in the mind state of like, I'm gonna, just be as prepared as possible, and you don't give yourself the option to evolve to these new things that come at you, it can actually end up hurting you, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My world's on fire. How about yours? That's the way I like it, and I never get bored. I think that kind of... when I hear that, I think of a hustle mentality. When you're on fire, you're kind of running all over the place. A lot of stuff is happening, and some people just really flourish on that. They flourish on the hustle and just doing stuff with your life. And, some people go crazy, but other people... But the thing to take out of that is that you're never bored. And I'm sure we could all relate to that because I don't think any of us are ever bored. Yeah. We got so much going on. Yeah. But, once in a while you'll need a holiday, but then are you ever bored on your holidays, or do you...
Sometimes it's nice just to do nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of get like, my world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. I don't know, it's almost like the world's not perfect, for anybody. And so you can either... like it, you can find joy in it, or you can let it beat you down and let it make you bored and depressed. I don't know.
Yeah, and this next part, I mean, we've already gone through the chorus, so may as well skip to verse 3. Somebody once asked, could I spare some change for gas? I need to get myself away from this place. It's an interesting scenario because you see a person going to this guy, and this person doesn't seem to have the capability to move on, I suppose.
Yeah, kind of like the way I see it, when they ask this question, you're like, oh, I'm in the worst low place, and then the guy says, "Yep, what a concept! I could use a little fuel myself." Yeah. It's like I'm right with you there, buddy. So like everybody's got hard times.
Yeah.
You
give a little bit to other people, and that also kind of helps you realize, hey, yeah, I need to do the same thing that you're doing. Let's get out of here, kind of thing. And we could all use a little change.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty, what's that word? Clever. Yeah, that's a really clever twist of words right there.
Well, and they always say, like, it's important to try to give to others. Like, there's meaning in life by giving to others and not just focusing on yourself. Trying to sacrifice things for others every now and then can give you some perspective on yourself and make your own life richer and happier. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of extrapolating a lot, but I kind of get that vibe from it.
Yeah, and going to the next part, he goes back into the same lyrics that he started earlier in the song. Well, the years stop coming and they don't start coming and they don't stop coming. But when he sings that part, the melody is different, and
yeah, it's a key change, right?
It's just an alternative melody, I suppose, and the guitar, what the guitar is playing under him, is also different. It's the same words, but obviously from that third verse, it's like he's starting a different chapter, but it still has that same outlook on life. The years start coming and they don't stop coming, even in the next chapter. You can still take the back streets. Mm-hmm. You can still shine, even if starting at the next chapter, you're only glowing. And
he seems like more almost like rejuvenated in that last chorus there, because like when you first hear it, it's like, well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming, whereas the last one it feels more like
he's belting it at the end.
It feels like there's more determination behind the words, I guess. Maybe it's just because of it seems to be a little more up tempo and different chords, right?
It's just slightly different. The guitarist is picking the guitar rather than doing those up strokes, the up picking, like you see in reggae typically, and so it's it's a really nice twist to that pre-chorus. And then that last chorus, they go back into how they typically play the chorus, and so it's going back to that original state. And I suppose it's more of a reminiscent feel, like, hey, we're going back to this state of mind where you're an all-star and you're a rock star, and be a shooting star.
Well, I mean, that's I don't know that anyone has ever broken down this song so well, actually. And it's kind of funny because when I first met Joe, and like, this has always been Joe's song to me, and I'm so I'm so happy that we got to talk about it with him on. Like, we're doing it kind of ironically or sarcastically, but at the same time,
to show, like, even the most simple of songs, can have meaning, though.
Right, and it's just kind of a song that always makes me smile now, because it just reminds me of Joe and all the good times that the three of us have had together, and yeah, it just reminds us of our friendship, I guess, and it's just a good time. And
it really is just a song of a generation. I mean, it really is. I mean, we were kids when this song came out, and I remember freaking skating at the roller skate rink and classic skating, and this song would come on, and I was just always so excited when this song came on.
Everybody would always get excited when this song would play,
Oh, yeah. And to this day, people... I remember back in high school when I was taking the driver's ed, and we had the radios on in the car, and we found the station that was playing this song, and everyone was singing it, and even into our late 20s, we're still jamming this song, man. It just never gets old.
Yeah. Well, and it's even on like, TikTok, which is like the new mainstream social media platform. It's all over that. Like, I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
Well, I think it's going to be one of those generational things. I mean, like, people still, to this day, love and listen to the Beatles. I think that this song, from Smash Mouth is going to live on for generations still.
Yeah.
Even though there are no Beatles.
They're definitely not,
the Beatles.
But that's just the power that music has sometimes.
Yeah. And, honestly, doing this, I thought it would be more funny than profound, as I've discovered this to be. We're just like, dang, these are...
I just spoke with, from the heart. It's like, you know what? That line makes me think of this.
Yeah, you know what?
We took this way too seriously. Nobody's going to listen to this.
Like, what are these guys talking about? Click,
And we're just so deep, and we're like, oh yeah, by the way, folks, we're talking about Smash Mouth.
Like, isn't this the song at the beginning of Shrek where he farts and the fish dies?
And it's so funny because we were so like down. We were talking about COVID, so we were all serious, and then we talked about hip hop, which was like supposed to be motivational, and then all of a sudden we're talking about Smash Mouth, and we didn't even say that we were going to talk about Smash Mouth.
Love it.
This is what you get for an impromptu episode, guys.
That's what I wanted. So.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think my favorite line from this song, based on our analysis, I think my favorite line is "All that glitters is gold."
I was gonna say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very iconic line.
Yeah, I really like that line a lot. Even though the most memorable line is "Somebody once."
Or the years stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, or they don't. Yeah. That's one of those audios I hear on TikTok where they just loop. And the years stop coming, they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming.
Have you seen the one where they do that to "Best of You" from the Foo Fighters?
I haven't. No.
It's so fun, because it plays the first part of the song, but then it's like, is someone getting the best, the best, the best, the best, the best?
That's awesome.
The best.
I love that.
That's hilarious.
Especially because that's my favorite Foo Fighters song.
It's so funny.
It reminds me, I don't know if you guys remember, well, you guys might, I don't know if everyone will, but the Lord of the Rings YouTube videos, like where they'd make fun of Legolas.
Oh, yeah. Taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Taking the hobbits to Isengard.
I remember when that was the biggest thing. That was when YouTube was so new.
Yeah,
dude. The hobbits. And they released a 10-hour version of that.
Yeah.
And then there's the 11-hour version of Patrick looking at mattresses.
I don't think I've seen that one, yeah.
It's like SpongeBob takes Patrick into a mattress store.
Yeah, I was like, how many think there are?
And he's like, oh. And he's just looking for 10 hours.
It's crazy how, like, I think I saw something on YouTube where every time, like, they played... I'm not going to explain this correctly, but they played Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and there's that moment where they're crossing the cornfield, Frodo and Sam, and he's like, if I go any farther, this will be the farthest I've ever gone, or something. Yeah. And every time someone says the name Frodo in the movie, it kicks the movie back to that part. So like every time someone said, and it's I think it was like 8 or 11 hours, and somebody edited this movie. So every time someone says Frodo in the movie, it jumps back to that part, and then it plays. And the next time someone says Frodo, they jump back to that same part. And it's like, who has that amount of time, and how are they making money?
Well, that reminds me of that when I lived with you, Joe. That prank I pulled on John. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So there's this episode of SpongeBob where he loses his name tag, and when he realizes he can't find his name tag, he starts like hyperventilating, going, and there's another part of the episode where he tells Patrick that he lost his name tag, and Patrick's just like, what? You lost your name tag? And so I was going to work, and I knew John was going to come home before I did, so I left my laptop on where I had two windows open, those two separate parts where both SpongeBob and Patrick are hyperventilating, and those played for 10 hours each. And so John just comes home and sees my laptop on the kitchen table of just Patrick and SpongeBob hyperventilating.
Those were some good days, man, when you were rooming with us.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah, but like that wouldn't be possible without those types of videos where they do things for like 10 hours.
Who are the heroes, the unspoken heroes of YouTube who make those things?
I don't know.
That's funny. Oh, man. This is funny. This is a funny tangent.
Oh, yeah.
I know we've officially crossed over to the weird part of Transmitter here.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great way to kick off the new season of Transmitter, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just figured we'd give you guys some extra content to listen to. We've been gone for a long time, and I feel like you guys would, I mean, we want to hear how you guys are doing during this crazy year, and we thought we'd just kind of talk about how we've been doing and what we've been doing, because we've been gone forever, so.
Yeah, so yeah, go ahead and reach out to us, whether it's through email or writing on the website or leaving a voicemail and whatnot. Let us know how you're doing, and maybe we'll make a shout out to you guys, and yeah, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, even if it's just like an audio recording, we've been collecting some more audio recordings to share in some of our next episodes, and we love doing that, and we love hearing from you guys. We love to interact, and I mean that's part of the reason we do this. So,
Man, yeah,
right,
Transmitter.
All right, do we want to leave off with some lyrics or something?
I mean, I think that although we did share the Smash Mouth lyrics on Joe's episode,
we gotta go with tradition, Ryan.
Okay, go with tradition.
So like here.
All right. Well, let's choose.
So here's a song that I really love from the Goo Goo Dolls, and the Goo Goo Dolls will always have a special place in my heart. They're also kind of a nostalgic band because we also grew up on Treasure Planet, and I think that the main song from Treasure Planet we love is "I'm Still Here," which was from John Rzeznik from the Goo Goo Dolls. Anyways, the Goo Goo Dolls have a song called Better Days, and I think that we can really take to heart what it says. So I'll just read the first verse, chorus, and second verse. It says, "And you asked me what I want this year, and I'll try to make this kind and clear. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. 'Cause I don't need boxes wrapped in strings and designer love and empty things. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud. 'Cause everyone is forgiven now. 'Cause tonight's the night the world begins again. I need someplace simple where we could live, and something only you can give, and that's faith and trust, and peace while we're alive. And the one poor child who saved this world, and there's 10 million more who probably could if we all just stopped and said a prayer for them." And that's when it goes to the chorus again. And so I've always loved those lyrics where honestly it just highlights how when all is said and done, we don't need anything materialistic or anything like that. We just want better days, and if we could just forgive each other and pray for each other rather than make enemies out of each other, because I think that each of us has the potential to do something small that can, with the butterfly effect, for instance, just really help and improve tons of people's lives. And I think that there's hope in that kind of mentality. And so, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I really like it, and I agree completely. I think that the world needs a little bit of that right now. I think that there's a lot of division when it comes to opinions on things, just with how the year has gone, and I think it's more important right now than ever for people to set aside their differences and come together. And, you don't have to agree, you just have to
forgive each other.
And have, respect for each other. Yeah,
that's what I like about the words in the chorus. So take these words and sing out loud, because everyone is forgiven now. Because tonight's the night the world begins again. Like, we can all agree that everybody thinks that 2020 hasn't been the greatest year, but if we all just took a step back and forgave each other, we could start anew again.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed this Free Talk episode, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their year, and stay safe out there, guys. We'll see you next time.